Yes, Sandeep. Good morning,
Hello.
every one of you, each one of you. I know,
Good
Sandeep,
morning, good
when the
afternoon,
countdown
good
was going
evening.
on.
Yeah, Suresh.
Yeah,
Good morning, good afternoon, good
yes,
evening, depending on whenever they watch it. Yeah.
absolutely. So I need to tell two things so emphatically. So I'm going to say that very responsibly. When the countdown was going on, I was in seventh heaven, not because looking at the stars and the planets in the background of the countdown. It's a supreme event today that sales, which is considered to be a follow-through function or a tail of the dog, so to say, is now a function which is up there. I mean, we started our 2021 looking at how sales now will become the actual door opener in the real sense in
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
normal. And today it's a pleasure to actually feel that we are in the room with. I'm going to be in the room with two excellent sales guys. One is here and one is going to come in. But before that, we were
So,
wondering why are we saying three sales guys? Sandeep, you know what? In his new avatar today, he is executive vice president for building business in B2B. And
yeah.
you know what Sandeep did? He changed his avatar himself. Sandeep, some words about the new role.
Yeah, no, so it's very interesting. So I'm with this company now called Global Delight Technologies, and they have some great products in the audio, video, and imaging space. They've won a lot of awards at Macworld also, and very very predominant, excellent 3D surround sound for audio enhancements on your Mac, on your Windows laptop, on your Android, on your iOS. Amazing stuff. So anyway, today's program is not about me. And yes, Suresh, we are not in the same room. You are in Mumbai. I am in Bangalore now, and our guest is sitting somewhere else on the beach, if I'm not mistaken.
He told me
So
not to tell that, not to declare that.
I leave it to you to introduce our guest today. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic. It's like I said, Sandeep, fantastic to hear from you in this avatar of actually taking on sales and with your background of CA and technocracy. I'm sure sales is going to become that much more ebullient. And that's something which I always lead up to. This is my dream, Sandeep, to be in a room with all salespeople talking responsibly about how sales as a function can be the game changer for businesses. And today, more than ever before, MSMEs, our co-brethren in the small business space, would look at how sales can take it forward. And no better than the gentleman, our buddy who's going to come onto screen right now in a short while, who moved from being an employee to an entrepreneur, from a sales guy in the deserts of the UAE and Abu Dhabi, apart from Mumbai, of course, where he started, to actually lead the entire way across major account handling, partner sales, the entire ecosystem of large companies from Oracle to SAS to SaaS. And that journey of handling
Okay, enough
partnerships,
suspense. Let's
ecosystems,
get him on screen. Let's get him on
and
screen.
all of that.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
wait, wait, wait. Here he comes.
There he is. There he is.
None other than George Varghese. Thank you, George, for being here, gracing our show, our value additions. George
Yes,
says
thank you, George.
conventional COVID namaste.
Welcome. Welcome,
So,
welcome
George,
to Value Additions. This is
Thanks,
unlike
thanks,
any other
Suresh.
show. This is unlike any
Thanks,
other
Suresh.
show. Okay, so it's we talk very serious stuff, but we are not serious guys. Okay, so
Yeah. I mean, I like the initial banter. I mean, I'm in a kind of a relaxed place, right? As you rightly said. Thanks for
tell
inviting me
us
to the show. I appreciate this.
tell us more where you are and what are you doing right now.
Good. So I drove today morning from Mumbai, right?
Uh-huh.
We had actually planned this on a Saturday. So I'm in this place which is surrounded by palms, right? So the first thing that I checked with my colleague here was, yaar, toddy milega ki nahi, right? Because there's enough of palm trees around, right? But then I realized that I've got a session at 3 o'clock.
absolutely. So,
So
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 if
maybe
we
I'll
have
have
so
to.
so did you eventually get the toddy or no? No.
I mean, I know
not
it's
yet.
waiting for me somewhere, but I said, let me give some gyan. Otherwise, it'll be all topsy-turvy.
Cool.
So
Great.
for a
Super.
change, we don't have a serious sales guy. We have a salsa sales guy, right? Up here, George. So the
Yeah. I
entire
mean,
journey of entire journey of sales. I was talking just to introduce you, and the journey of actually being hardcore IT solutioning sales guy to now becoming an entrepreneur using cutting edge AI for fraud detection. What's been the journey? Square One is the one which is manifesting the journey.
yeah. So one thing which I just found common between me and Sandeep is, my first stepping stone about 30 years back, almost 31 years back, was with a company called Rolta. and I think Sandeep shared a good journey with that particular company. So me and Sandeep and I, the world is small. I can tell you that, right? I mean,
Truly.
this world is small. Obviously, I mean, as you rightly said, Suresh, I've always been in IT, right? My dad gave me only an option to be an engineer, so I'm a computer engineer by education. Okay, but then he said, you know what? Day one, you should be actually working. I thought I could become a good hardware engineer, and then probably had doubts. Yeah, engineering care, software engineer. But then the guy who interviewed me said, you know what? Chuck both of things aside. Be in sales. 6 months if you don't like, get back into something which is core. Okay, and I think I've got back into. I mean, sales has been through and through, right? As you rightly said, it has taken me journey. It has taken me places. It has taken to me at least 25 countries across the globe, right?
Wow.
And given me a confidence to start what I'm doing right now, which is entrepreneurship, right? So that has been a fantastic journey. Worked with Indian companies, majorly worked with MNC companies, right? So there's a lot of learning.
Absolutely.
It's true. A lot of youngsters I meet right now, they have a tendency of actually, looking down on sales, like it's very low tech and you're a salesman, So, and I keep trying to tell them that that's the best thing to do because A, you meet a whole lot of different people. B, you get to learn so many different ways of dealing with different people because if you have to succeed, you have to know how to deal with people. And then it's so fulfilling because you're the guy who actually brings in the money. Yeah, that's it. Of course, other than the investors, but that's a different story.
Yeah, yeah. They
And
we are
and
sales boats and the villas, right? Because
Yeah,
obviously, I mean, I keep telling this to my wife. It's better you switch on to a sales profession, okay? If you would
yeah,
want to buy another villa around.
yeah. There you go. There you go. Okay,
so
cool. So,
beyond the essentially sales, just to take off from the thread of conversation that you and Sandeep have been having, George, that sales against common knowledge is not just about selling, right? Sales karke aaja. Everything else I'll banaunga, sales baad mein dekha jaunga. Somebody will come and sell and blah blah blah, and sales gets multiplied and mixed up into marketing and business development, all of those. But it's a great opportunity and it's a real fortune in our Value Addition show to be with you, George, along with Sandeep, in our inaugural show with a guest, wherein we're talking of specific areas of sales. Each of them over the next 12 months through this year is going to add value to this wonderful MSME space. Like they said, it is businesses which will drive the country, not necessarily the government. Businesses which will create jobs, and sales is the paramount. With that in perspective, strategic sales management, which is the topic of today, and like in our valuation, we always plan, we always commit, we'll get specific usable tips which they can carry on each of our audience. For all of you listening to this, in looking at sales, whether you're in sales, entrepreneurship, business development, or what have you, the objective is to bring specific areas of sales which is going to make sense to you in your business, whether it's B2B or B2C. Though we will talk from more of a B2B perspective, but it's going to make a lot of sense. With that, George, strategic sales management, what does it, what occurs to you with this word called strategic sales management? Three words, each of them well loaded, right?
It is, and one thing which I've learned over the last 3 decades, Suresh, is sales management is all about a fundamental equation, and that possibly is also my first tip because I know that you wanted. I mean, we just have got so much time, and you wanted me to leave some thoughts with the audience, and I've kind of got everything down to just about 3 things, and that's what I would want to share with your audience today. And the first one that I just want to talk about is anything and everything as a salesperson who would want to do is centered around a equation called P is equal to R minus C. Now, those of you who are business guys, those of you who are managing sales would know this. You have done this. You have done this unconsciously, consciously, whatever that is. What is P? P is profitability. What is R? R is revenue. C is cost. Right? Now, as long as you are in the business of increasing revenue for your customers, so either you do that or you do C, which is reducing cost, right? If you're able to get that across, right, the equation of R and C, which is revenue and costs. So either whatever you're selling, whatever you are proposing as a product or as a service, in case if it is increasing revenue of the customers, you are in the good picture, right? Or you need to reduce cost, right? So as long as you are looking at this and whatever you're doing and whatever you're selling, what it's a product or it's a service, just look at it. Is it going to increase the revenue of the customer? Yes or no? Is it going to decrease costs of the customer for doing business? Yes or no? And believe me, you, if you're able to project these two items, whatever you do, whatever you sell, right? It definitely affects the P factor, which is the profitability factor. So that is the first mantra that I would want to leave as a tip for all the sales teams. Okay, P is equal to R minus C. As long as you're able to do it, you are good to go. You are in the boat.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Okay,
So
so
mathematics in sales, right, Sandeep? Mathematics in sales, equations in
you know,
mathematics
yeah,
sales also.
in sales is always a multiplier effect, but yes. But the thing is, it's I like the way you put it so simply, because what happens is, a lot of people just think in terms of, the revenue goes up and the profitability goes up, but sometimes, you're actually giving a product or a service which can reduce the cost. So people need to be able to, at least sales guys need to be able to think from that perspective, that yes, what I am doing is not only going to help you, do more and get more, but also probably what you have is going to, be able to cost effectively minimize that. Yeah.
So George, you
True,
mentioned about
absolutely.
sales management, right? Sales management and P equal to R minus C. So when we look at strategic sales management, the fact remains that in today's sales management process, either I have to strategically handle an account, whether I'm selling a product or
Mhm,
service, or I need
mhm.
to very strategically open up an account which will become an entry for me into other accounts. It'll be like a curtain raiser, right? These are the two
Right.
things which come to my mind. How much is relevant? Is strategic sales management should be a continuous process, or is it done once in a while? I mean, what would your take be?
Okay. So first and foremost, just taking a step back, how do you get there? I mean, in my past avatars, whether I was with IBM, SAS, or for that matter, Oracle, these are very large teams that you manage. In fact, I set up all this BI business. I went on to manage applications business, a whole lot of that stuff. The first thing when you actually sit for a review is, take them through something called as, and that's my second tip. Take them something across something called as a band criteria. Okay, yeah, I hope you heard it right. It is
No,
B
I thought so
A.
what it means is
What is it?
sales guys.
What did he say? Bant.
Oh,
B.
Sandeep,
B.
George is saying sales guys. Sales means they shiver in their pants. So he means pant, here, Sandeep. Correct, George?
Did he say
Either
No,
or is
no,
correct.
bant?
just change the P to B. Okay,
Oh, I see.
B.
Okay.
That's right. Okay, so essentially it is band, and I will tell you what the full form of this is. And if you can, whatever you're doing, if you can measure this against band in terms of qualification, because that is the first thing, right? I mean, you've got only maybe 12 bullets to fire in a day. You've got 12 hours in a day, maybe 15 hours in a day, right? And the question that you need to ask yourself is this customer or this account that I'm getting into, does it fulfill the band criteria? I mean, as a sales manager, this is what I used to ask my sales teams, right? Does this account fulfill the band criteria? Because in case if it is not, the guy is not going to give you that deal, right? So what is band? B stands for budget, A stands for authority, N stands for need, and the T stands for time factor, right? So I'll repeat it again. B stands for budget, A stands for authority, N stands for need, and the T stands for the time factor. So let me just pick up, these letters and kind of, spread it across. And I just want what you're showing on the screen to remain as it is. The first and foremost, whether your product and service is that going to fulfill a certain need for the customer, right? So that is what that need thing is all about. Because if it is not, let me tell you, if it is an X, if it is a no, then I would say that it's not qualified. I mean, you're wasting your time with the customer. Okay, either you create that need, okay, which probably could be a hidden need, right? Or maybe there is a need that is already there. So if you see an RFP coming, that means the customer has already recognized that there is a need. That is the reason why he's given you a BRD, which is a business requirement document or an RFP, right? The second thing is, and this is something we do it in sales, especially in application sales, okay, which are high ticket items, 2 crores, 3 crores, 10 crores kind of deals. we always start from the top. It is top down selling. Am I going and pitching it to a person in authority? Is he a person who can take a yes no decision? Because you would not want to waste time with somebody who is not going to give you the deal in the next maybe a month, 2 months, or maybe a year.
Okay, I think we have him frozen in time for now.
Doesn't come back. Yeah.
We'll just wait. We'll probably just wait for him to get back on the scene. But it's very interesting what he said, in terms of the need, and it reminds me of this saying which is in showbiz, which they say, that if you're seeing a bandwagon, you're already too late. So
Right.
if the RFP is out, somebody has already either done some selling or identified the need. Otherwise, the RFP is not going to be out so soon. So it's interesting
Absolutely.
that we need to find out. A lot of people make this mistake from sales perspective of not being able to qualify whether And we spoke about this last time, if you remember, Suresh. And for those of
Right.
you who joined us last time, they would remember that the qualification issue. What is a prospect? What is a lead? So this issue about the need being established is something that we need to. And we have it back. Yeah. Okay, so George, we
Yes.
were just saying
Okay,
that
guys.
the need issue is something which is really really of paramount importance. Please go
So
ahead.
George, just a 30 seconds, George. When you went out to look at the palm trees, we were using band and we were bantering away, me and Sandeep. So over to you. Band comes back
Yeah,
to
go
Okay,
you.
okay.
ahead.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I left out.
You
You
mentioned about
talked about
authority. You
Authority,
mentioned about decision
okay,
authority,
making.
authority.
Authority.
Absolutely. So
top
the
down.
authority is all about, can this person that I'm talking to, is he going to give me the deal, yes or no? Right? So that is all about authority. Am I talking to a person in authority? Right? Budget is of course important. I mean, there would be a need, there would be an authority, but if he's not got a budget, again, you're wasting your time. Right? He's not going to get you the deal in the next maybe a month, 2 months, 4 months, whatever is your sales cycle. Okay, that's about budget, right? And the last thing is the time factor, right? Is he going to give you this deal in a certain amount of time factor? Because at the end of the day, as a sales guy, whatever position you are in, you are supposed to forecast. Even as a CEO, okay, I am supposed to forecast to my investors,
Yeah.
right? So this is the second tip. I mean, it is called band. Whatever we are doing, okay, just measure it against this. Ask these questions, okay. You will get it to be more qualified.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
George, what I
So
want to ask you is, George, with your 25 years of, 30 years of experience in IT domain, I know that you've worked in cutting edge applications, almost in several parts of applications where IT is used. You've been a part, whether it's the IBM role or the Oracle role or the SaaS role, or the other roles across 25 countries. For SMEs today, strategic sales management, when you look at a global perspective, SMEs today don't look at only India, only localized sales, right? Look at a global perspective. Strategic sales management, does it more or less remain same across cultures and tradition, across cultures and geographies?
Okay, I could tell you this, right? And this is something of a dilemma which I face, and this is maybe Indian culture. As far as sales is concerned, I think culture does matter. Uh, I mean, I'm just referring back to the same band criteria. If it's a customer in the US, okay, the customer will be straight on the face saying, I don't have the need, or maybe I don't have the budget. That's it, period. I mean, he will not waste your time. He's on the face. From a culture perspective, Indian customers don't want to say a no, right? And
Right.
I think that is where traditionally you will see that a certain account, it's a strategic account, it remains in your forecast sheet, it
yeah.
slips quarter after quarter, right? And that is where
Yes.
we need to judge that, you know, is the customer wanting to say no, but he doesn't want to say no, right?
Right.
So coming back to your question, Suresh, culture does matter. My observation is there are cultures, okay, outside of India, which is very straight on the face, because that's the way they are, right?
Right.
Whereas in India,
Right.
and I have seen, including me when I was, doing sales, right? There are deals which slips quarter after quarter, but then I still have got hope that there are customer to na to nahi bola hai,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
So,
So
yeah, so when we used to be in sales, the managers, and our executives used to make sales forecasts. And I used to ask them, I said, look, is this actually a forecast or is it a hopecast? You're hoping you're going to get the order because there's no timeline, there's no steps, there's no need to fulfill. The customer is just there in the list, So this looks like a hopecast, not really a forecast. And it's very
Right.
critical that, especially the time factor. So I mean, you're projecting, you're making a report for a forecast for a month, week, quarter, year, whatever it is. So is that order going to come in that time? Yeah, very, very critical. Yeah.
Absolutely. So sales, strategic sales management, the fact is I'm harping upon strategic is because from what I understand, George, as you shared with us, profound knowledge in such simple words, equation and in acronyms, P is equal to R minus C and BANT, and it's a great carry away. But I want to ask you that strategic sales management, which means is a must for every MSME, right? Either to open a new account which will influence other sales or whether to reduce the sales cycle. Would that be a good inference for everyone to take away? That to practice
It would be.
P
See,
equal to R is...
it would,
Yeah,
right?
go
See,
ahead.
whether it's a small business, whether it's a medium-sized business, whether it's a large business that you're catering to it, right? The fundamental remains the same, right? I mean, whatever you talk about, whether it's a
Right.
small business, I mean, he will only buy in case if it is going to increase his revenue or reduce his cost, right? You look at BANT. I mean, if there is a need and if the person is an authority, if there is a budget, he is going to actually invest in you in sales. So I don't think fundamentally कि ये खाली बड़ा account enterprise accounts के लिए खाली it only matters to them, but it is universal. These laws are pretty universal, and these are, I mean, this is what I would call as my checklist, right? I mean, I as an entrepreneur, let me tell you this, right? I'm back into what I did 30 years back, because that's what entrepreneurship is all about. It's not a bed of roses, I can tell you that, right? And this is how I measure myself against, even today.
Yeah, I know. I think it's a bed of roses for sure, but the thorns are more than the flower petals, probably, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
Right.
so there's a disclaimer and a fine print even in that, So
Exactly.
there is
So
but read the fine print. Yeah.
yes. So Sandeep, any last questions before I want to really ask George as a sign-off statement about this fascinating work that he's doing, cutting edge in the area of fraud detection?
I think he has one more tip to go.
Okay, yes. So after that, I'm going to ask George to say what is Square One all about. Over to you, George.
Yeah.
The last.
My last tip is always do ABC.
Wow.
We started off from your KG class learning ABC. Please remember ABC. It even continues, okay, even if you're 30 years or 40 years into this field. ABC is nothing but always be closing, right? That means
Good.
I keep telling this to my sales guys, बेचना अभी बंद करो, order के लिए पूछो भाई.
Yes.
Order पूछेगा. I mean, when you ask for the order is when you will know the true color of your customer, कि देना चाहता है कि नहीं, budget में कुछ problem है कि नहीं, or I'm not the right person, it has to go to this committee and to this committee, right? I think it is not taking care of this need of mine, right? So that is the last step. ABC is always be closing. Ask for the order.
Yes. Absolutely. Trial close is so very important. I mean, I can't even believe, right? I mean, you said always be closing.
Those are the minute you ask for the order is when you get all the objections. I don't have money. The money will come in later.
Right.
I don't have the authority. And that's when you know that okay, these are the steps that I need to take. So if you ask for the order, in fact, possibly even early enough, as we said, trial close. So that's when you actually come to know that okay, these are the real reasons the prospect hasn't yet closed the order. Yeah.
Right. In my entire journey, all of it through Sonata and setting up digital factors and value additions came into play. One important checklist for sure is if you're not going for the trial close, don't even have that prospect in your sales pipeline. Trial close karo, then we move forward. Right? Trial close is where true colors come out. Fantastic, George. Thank you for making us so reminiscent. 3 sales guys in one screen is a dream come true, yeah. Honestly, 2021 couldn't have got better. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to sorry. Okay, Suresh.
And I'm so happy with Sandeep's avatar. His business.
Suresh. The only thing that's going to The only
Yes.
thing that's going to save everyone in 2021 is going to be sales. Because if there's no sales, there's no business. I mean, we say the economy will grow, business will be back on track. What is business back on track? Business back on track is not people going into the office. Business back on track is sales happening. People giving other people orders, and then they can execute it, and then the money can move from one place to another. So it has to start
And
with
to add
sales.
to
And
that,
I'm glad
add
it
to
is the sales
business,
focus.
sales gives hope. Right. Now, add to business, sales gives hope and fervor. Sales gives a lot of passion and looking forward to. Keeps the human mind in good space. So, but George, we could go on and on, right? But tell us about Square One and fraud detection, and then we have to say we'll let you go to the palm trees and your toilet.
Okay. So the current business is all about, we're a company which actually does cutting edge fraud prevention. We do that for digital payments. So we work with banks and financial services. That's what we do today, right? So this use case is all about fraud prevention for digital payments, which essentially is whatever we do on a daily basis, whether it's internet banking, mobile banking, ATM, POS, e-com, UPI, all of that stuff. So that is digital payments for you. We do fraud prevention for internal stuff. The season is getting a lot of people worked up, a lot of people trying to, do a lot of things which is not great as far as the bank is concerned. So internal staff account monitoring and merchant payments. These are focus things that we are working on right now, and all this is behavior based. All of us have got digital patterns. I'm not sure if you've observed it, but that's what the business is all about.
Fantastic.
So,
That's true.
yeah. So
Salutations to your sales guy.
There have been a few
Yes,
comments that have come in. So I said there are a few comments that have come in. So we just acknowledge other people who've been joining us. Umesh Kumar says, chill. We're chilled out. All sales guys are always chilled out. Way to go. That's it. Yes. Thank you very much. Hi, Adi. Nice to have you here with us. And Gaurav was impressed with the P is equal to R minus C. Yeah, that formula. It works.
Absolutely.
It really does. Yeah. And culture does matter. Yeah, sure it does. Wonderful tips for sales boom in 2021. Yeah, it is going to be a sales boom. And it's up to us to make sure that we bring that boom over there. So at the risk
sales
of
and boom.
Right.
But sales and boom really rhymes together.
At the risk of sounding like I'm promoting the product for my own company, yes, boom, that's a product. But so we'll leave that aside for now. But yes, thank you everyone for those who joined us in. And in case there are any more questions, please feel free to type them in. We will get George to ask them in later also. And if you want to reach out to us and have any suggestions as far as the program is concerned, something that you would like to see, some particular aspect of sales that anyone in the audience would want us to specifically cover, please feel free to send us an email, and we will respond back. We sales guys.
Thank you,
we will respond back.
Yeah, thank you, George. And let's close it by saying ABC. Guys, always be closing. Thank you, George. Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Yeah.
Thanks for hosting me. Thank you.
Yeah, our pleasure. Don't go anywhere. I will just. He already went off. Okay. He was in a rush to go for that.
He was in a rush. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Till we meet the next episode of our Value Additions next month.
And the